My name is Devin Larson, and I'll be presenting a problem and solution speech. Imagine an island twice the size of the state of Texas in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. This would be prime real estate if it weren't for the fact that instead of white sand beaches and lush rainforests, this island is made entirely of trillions of pieces of plastic garbage. If that's not enough for you, this island is only one of 5 massive trash islands that humans have created in our oceans. And on top of that, only about 30% of all ocean plastic sits on the surface of the ocean, with the remaining 70% of the plastic sinking so deep into the ocean that humans will never be able to recover it. So such an impossibly large amount of plastic in our ocean and such a difficult seeming task to clean it all up, what are some ways that we can help our ocean? To understand that, I think it's best that we first completely understand the problem at hand. Conservation.org reports that humans dump an approximate 17.6 billion pounds, which is equivalent to 57,000 blue whales, every single year. Experts believe that by 2050, all of the trash in our oceans will actually outweigh the weight of all wildlife in our oceans. And these facts present us with 2 main problems we need to solve. We need to figure out how to better manage our current plastic waste situation and find a way to drastically reduce future production of disposable plastics. First, let's talk about recycling. Now, everyone knows that recycling is obviously the preferable option to just throwing something away. But how much of what you recycle actually ends up being recycled? Columbia University reports that 70% of recycled material ends up in landfills or in our oceans. But why? Why is it that recycled goods don't end up actually being recycled? There are 2 main reasons for this. The United States has a very weak domestic recycling infrastructure, meaning that we have relied on countries in the past to do our recycling for us. We ship all of our plastic off and don't worry about it. But because of this, and because of changing laws, the US has been forced to do more domestic recycling, and our facilities simply can't handle it. The technology is not there. Also, food contamination in our recycling products is a very big issue, sometimes ruining an entire batch of recycling just from one item. So if our government were to subsidize improvements to sorting and processing technologies in our recycling plants, we could have less waste and a more usable material from these facilities. A way to expedite these subsidies, because money doesn't come from nowhere, would be our next solution, something called a plastic tax. It is theorized that if our government should tax corporations for using single-use packaging, that this would incentivize a switch to a replacement. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, states that imposing a plastic tax would bring the price of disposable plastics up, which would bring the demand down, and therefore bring about the need for a substitute. And substitutes for plastics have existed for a long time, and more only keep being invented. The majority of packaging could be swapped for the typical recycled plastic or cardboard packaging that we see pretty often. But there are other solutions as well. A company called Mobius, which is actually backed by the USDA and the NSF, uses bio-waste to produce pellets of plastic for production. And this plastic is actually biodegradable. So after the plastic has been used, it will decompose into water, compost, and small amounts of CO2. And this would essentially eliminate the plastic waste problem. The plastic would get rid of itself. And also, this tax revenue from the plastic tax could be put into the aforementioned recycling infrastructure upgrades, or it could be put into ocean cleaning efforts, which are very important. In conclusion, the financial burden of single-use plastics should be imposed upon the corporations who most perpetrate them. This would also incentivize a move towards more sustainable plastics or packaging in general. And the revenue from this could support an infrastructure upgrade for domestic recycling plants and also cleaning efforts to clean the current mess in our oceans. Thank you.